Hi everybody, this is Courtney from Fiber Fox Studios, and today in this tutorial we are going to go over how you do the crochet kimono cardigan, but in size 1 yarn because the counts are a little bit different. You can substitute with size 2 as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started. All the foundation oval counts are going to be down in the description for this tutorial to help you decide which size you're going to make and the number of ovals you need to start your piece. So we're going to start off by getting a slip knot on our hook, just like I've done here, and we are going to go ahead and chain up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we're going to wrap the yarn around our hook a total of 2 times, and we're going to go ahead and go down here into this very first stitch that we made right down here, and we're going to insert our hook just like so. So it's going to look just like this, and we're going to grab our yarn and pull up a loop. Now we're going to grab our yarn again, pull through 2 loops, grab our yarn again, pull through 2 loops, grab our yarn again, pull through 2 loops, and that is your first foundation oval. So you're going to go ahead and repeat this for the total number of foundation ovals that you need to start your project. When you are ready, you're going to go ahead and pause the video. We're going to do this one more time together, but you'll be pausing the video, continuing on with the number of foundation ovals that you need to do the specific size that you're going to work on. So we're going to show that to you one more time. We're going to go ahead and chain 1. Now we're going to pinch right there. We're going to chain 4 more times, so a total of 5 chains. So there's my second, here is my third, here is my fourth, and here is my fifth. We're going to wrap the yarn around our hook twice, and we're going to go back down here to this stitch that we were pinching, and we're going to insert into that stitch, and we're going to go ahead and grab our yarn and pull up a loop. Grab your yarn again and pull through 2 loops. Grab our yarn again and pull through 2 loops. Grab your yarn again and pull through 2 loops. So now I've got a second foundation oval. So you're going to continue on. The multiple for the foundation ovals is 2 foundation ovals plus 1. If you do want to go off the pattern that I am showing down below in the description or off the counts. So again, that is 2 foundation ovals plus 1 for your multiples. So you're going to go ahead and pause here, and then we're going to come back when you have all your foundation ovals on your hook and ready to go. Alright, so you should be back with me now, and we're going to go ahead and begin working into our first foundation oval. The main thing I want to point out is you don't want to twist this chain of foundation ovals. In the adult sizes, you're going to have quite a few chains. In the kids sizes, you're going to have less chains. So either way, you want to make sure that you keep that nice and flat and you do not twist your chain. And I am working with a 3.75 millimeter hook. I will have all the information on hook sizes and recommended for the size 1 and size 2. And the hook size does kind of adjust the size of your piece when you finish it up. So I will have all that information down below in the description. So right here we've got our working loop that's on our hook right now, and we're going to go ahead and do a slip stitch right here into this first foundation oval. So we're going to grab our yarn and pull up our loop. So we're in that foundation oval, and we're going to go ahead and pull on through, and this is just moving us into a working position. So now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 3, and this is going to count as our first double crochet. And I'm not chaining too tight. I'm just going to go ahead and do 2 more double crochets. To do a double crochet, you're going to wrap your yarn around your hook just like I have here. You're going to come back down into this first foundation oval, and you're going to go right into that oval, and you're going to pull up a loop. Now you're going to grab your yarn again and pull through 2 loops, grab your yarn again and pull through 2 loops, and that is your first, or that is your double crochet. It's your second one, since that count of chain 3 is counting as 1. So we're going to go ahead and do that one more time. Wrap your yarn around your hook, insert right here into this oval, and let's go ahead and pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2 and pull through 2. So we have made our 3 double crochets essentially that begin out this row. Now we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that chain 5 is going to begin our repeat for this row. So the chain 5 is the beginning of your repeat. Now we're going to come over here and we're going to work in this next foundation oval, and we're going to do 3 single crochets. So you're just going to go ahead and insert directly into the foundation oval, and you're going to pull up a loop. You're going to grab your yarn and pull through 2 loops, and you have done your first single crochet. So we're going to repeat that 2 more times right here into the same foundation oval. There's number 2, and here is number 3. And now we're going to chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to go ahead and do a total of 5 double crochets here into this next foundation oval. So you're going to wrap your yarn, insert it directly into that foundation oval, pull up a loop, grab your yarn again, pull through 2, grab your yarn again, pull through 2. So that's our first double crochet. We're going to do a second, just like so. Here's my third, and last but not least, a fourth, and now a final 5th double crochet right here into this same foundation oval. So now that ends our repeat for this row, and we're going to be doing the same thing on down, but you always want to stop and check your number of stitches that you've done and make sure. In this case I needed 5 double crochets, so I'm going to make sure I have all 5. Now that's the end of our repeat. I'm going to go ahead and do this with you a few more times. So we're going to chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The chain 5 is the beginning of our repeat. I'm going to go ahead, I like to pull and keep everything out of my way. Now we're going to go ahead and go over here and do 3 single crochets directly into that foundation oval. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to come into our next foundation oval, and we're going to do 5 double crochets. Here's 1. Here's 2. Here is 3. Number 4, and 5. And that is the end of your repeat, just like so. So now we're going to do it together again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That is the beginning of our repeat. Now we're going to come into this next foundation oval, and we're going to do 3 single crochets. 1, here's 2, and 3. Now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to come over here into this next foundation oval, and we're going to do a total of 5 double crochets. Two. Here's number 3, number 4, and number 5. So now we're going to chain 5, and you're going to continue on. This is the beginning of your repeat again. You're going to pause here, and you're going to come back when you have just 2 foundation ovals left to work in, and then we will do those ending together. So go ahead and pause here and meet me back up when you finished out your row. And for me, I'm going to go ahead and work on, we're going to do 3 single crochets in the very next foundation oval. There's 1. Scoot those stitches over. Here's number 2. And last but not least, number 3. And now we're here at our last foundation oval, so we're going to go ahead and chain 5 again, just like we've been doing on down our row. Here's 3, 4, and 5. But I'm going to go over here. I'm at my last foundation oval, and I'm going to do a total of 3 double crochets directly into that foundation oval to finish off this row. Here's 1, here is 2, and 3. So at the end of our row, we've ended with 3 double crochets. We began with 3 double crochets. So now we're going to go ahead and move on up to our next row. We're going to chain 5 to move up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now you're going to turn your work, and we're going to wrap our yarn and do a double crochet directly into this very first stitch. So we're going right here into the very first stitch. We've got 3 stitches total right here. So we're going to go ahead and do a double crochet in our very first. Now we're going to do a double crochet in each of the following stitches. So there are those double crochets from the previous row. We're going to work a double crochet into each stitch, just like so. Now we're going to begin our repeat. We're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're moving over here to where we have the 3 single crochets from the previous row, and we're going to skip this first single crochet and go right here in the middle on the second single crochet and do a single crochet. Now we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to come over here to where we have our double crochets, and we're going to go ahead and do a double crochet in the first 3 double crochets from the previous row. And if you stretch your work apart, you can see those stitches very, very well. So we're going to go ahead and work a double crochet here into this first stitch, just like so. We're going to do a double crochet in the very next stitch, just like that. And we're going to do a double crochet here in the center 3rd stitch on the previous row. We're going to go ahead and do a double crochet there. Now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a double crochet right back here into the same stitch. So we're still in that 3rd stitch. We're going to go ahead and do a double crochet. Now we're going to do a double crochet in the next 2 double crochets from the previous row. So we're going to go right into the top of each one, and we're going to do a double crochet, and we're going to do a double crochet. Oop. Just like that. So now this is the end of our repeat, and if you stop and take a look at your work, this is what you're going to have so far. And we're going to do this one more time together, and then you'll be pausing the video so you can move on and finish up all of your stitches on down that row. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to chain 4. This is the beginning of the repeat again. 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to move over here to our 3 single crochets that we did on the previous row, and we are going to skip the first single crochet and move directly into the second single crochet in there in the center. And we are going to do a single crochet. And now we are going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to move over here to our 5 double crochets, and we're going to do a double crochet in the first 3 of those stitches, 1 in each. So here's our first double crochet. We're going to move on to the second stitch and do a double crochet. And we're going to move on to our 3rd stitch and do a double crochet. And now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to go back into that same stitch right there and we're going to do a double crochet, just like so. And now we're going to do a double crochet in each of the next 2 double crochets from the previous row. 1 stitch in the top of each. And that ends the repeat. So you're going to go ahead and pause here, and you're going to continue on down doing a chain 4, single crochet in the second single crochet on the previous row, so right there in the center, chain 4, and then you're going to do a double crochet in the first 3 stitches from the previous row, chain 5, and then do a double crochet right back into the same 3rd stitch, and you're going to do a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches to end off your repeat. So go ahead and pause here, and I will have it marked in the video where you can rewind to if you do need extra help. And you are going to be meeting back up with me when you have 3 stitches left to work into. At the end of your row, it's going to be your last 3 double crochets. We're going to meet up back here, and that is where we're going to show you how to finish off this row and begin the next. And we are back, and we're at the end of our row. We've got a chain 4 on our hook right now, and we have 3 double crochets left to work into, so we're going to do those together. We're going to do a double crochet in each of those stitches, so we're going to go right here and start with this first one. We're going to do a double crochet in the very first stitch, just like so. We're going to do a double crochet in the very next stitch, right there on the top of it, just like that. Don't be afraid to stretch things apart so that you can see them. And we're going to do a double crochet, and it's technically our chain 3 that we began that row with. We're going to go ahead and count up from the bottom 1, 2, and 3 and go into that 3rd, the top of the 3rd stitch, and we're going to do a double crochet. We're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and we are going to go back here into the same stitch, the same exact one, and we are going to do a double crochet. Right there in the same stitch, we're going to do a double crochet, and that's going to end out our row. So to begin our next row, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to turn our work. And now we're going to do 3 double crochets right here into this chain 2 space that we just made. So our chain 3 is counting as our first double crochet. So now technically I have 2 double crochets. I want a total of 4 here. So I'm going to do my 3rd and finally my 4th, all there into that chain space. So working directly into that chain space. And now we're going to chain 3, and this begins our repeat, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to work a double crochet in each of the double crochets from the previous row. So we're going to go ahead and do a double crochet in this first stitch. And we're going to do a double crochet in the next stitch, and we're going to do a double crochet right here into this very last stitch. And now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to move over here. We're now at our single crochet from the previous row. We're going to put a single crochet right there in the top of that stitch. Now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to come over here to these double crochets. There's 3 of them right here before our chain 5. And we're going to work a double crochet into the top of each stitch. So right here in this first one, I'm going to do a double crochet. In the very next one, I'm going to do a double crochet. In the next stitch, I'm going to do a double crochet. And now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we're now here at the chain 5, and we're going to do 7 double crochets right here into the chain 5 space. Directly working into that space. Here's my first one, total of 7. So here's number 2. Here is number 3. I'm going to do number 4. Oops, dropped it. Number 5. number 6, and 7. And now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to move over here to these 3 double crochets from the previous row, and we're going to do a double crochet in each one. So let's go ahead and do a double crochet in the first one. We're going to do a double crochet in the next one. And we're going to do a double crochet in the very last one. And this ends our repeat for this row. I'm going to do this together with you one more time, and then you'll be pausing the video, and we're going to meet back up here at the end when we have the last 4 stitches to work into. So we're going to go ahead and do one more time together. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to come over here. We're at the single crochet. So let's stretch that apart so you can see it. So we're going to do a single crochet right here into the single crochet from the previous row. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to do a double crochet in the next 3 double crochets from the previous row. Here's our first one. Here is our second. And here is our third. And I'm going right there on the top of that stitch each time. Now we're going to chain 3 again, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to do 7 double crochets right here into this chain 5 space. There's 1. Oops. Here is number 2. Number 3. We're going to go in here and do number 4. Here is our 5th, our 6th, and the 7th. And now we're going to chain 3 again, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to come over here to these double crochets from the previous row, and we're going to do a double crochet in each one of those stitches. So I'm going right here into the top of that stitch. I'm doing my double crochet. Now I'm going to do a double crochet right here into the very next stitch. If you're having trouble seeing where to work into, just pull your work apart, and you will be able to find the top of those stitches very easily with a small yarn. And that is the end of my repeat. You're going to go ahead and pause the video here, and we're going to meet back up when you're at the end of your row with these last 4 stitches to work into. Alright, and we are back, and we're at the end of our row, and you have your entire row completed now at this point, and we're going to work this last portion together. So we've got 3 double crochets from the previous row right here, and then we have our chain 5. So how we're going to work into that is we're going to work a double crochet here into these first 3 stitches. So you're just going to go ahead and work a double crochet into each of those stitches. Here's number 2. So I'm doing a total of 3 double crochets right here, 1 into the top of each stitch from the previous row. And now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to be working the first 3 stitches directly into this chain space. So we're going to go ahead and do 3 double crochets directly into that chain space. There's number 1. Here's number 2. Here is number 3. So now what we're going to do is we need a 4th double crochet, but we're going to count up here from the bottom on this chain, and we're going to find the 3rd stitch. So we're going to start here. We're going to count 1, 2, and 3, and that 3rd stitch is where we're going to insert our hook to do our last double crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and do my double crochet right there into that stitch, and that helps us keep a nice straight line on our project. So now we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we're going to turn our work. And I'm going to pull out a little bit more yarn here, so you don't want to fight with it when you're working on your project. So I'm going to pull out a little bit more. I've got my work turned just like so. This is what we have so far, just to kind of take a look at what you've got going on. So now what we're going to do is we're going to be doing some double crochet clusters, and this is going to be the last row, and then I'm going to show you how you begin your new setup row, which is essentially your new row 1. That was originally your foundation ovals when you started this project, and then you'll be able to just rewind the video to the starts and that are going to be marked and continue on with your project. You are doing your complete back panel at this point. So what we're going to do, we've got our chain 4 on our hook. We're going to wrap and do, like we're about to do a double crochet, and we're going to do a double crochet cluster. So we're going to skip this very first stitch right here that our chain is coming out of. We're going to skip that stitch and move directly into the second stitch. We're going to grab our yarn, pulling up a loop. We're going to pull through 2 loops, and we're going to hold it. We have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to wrap our yarn again, and we're going to go right back here into the same stitch that we're working in, and we're going to pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. We've got 3 loops on our hook. We're going to wrap our yarn again. We're going to go back here into that same exact stitch again, and we're going to pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. We've got 4 loops on our hook. Now we're going to grab our yarn, turn our hook down so it's facing towards our project, and pull through all 4 loops on our hook. That is a double crochet cluster. So we're going to go ahead and chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to move over here, and we're going to skip this very next stitch, and we're going to work into the 4th stitch in this section. So we're going to wrap our yarn, and we're going to do another double crochet cluster. So we're going to go into the top of that stitch, pulling up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. We have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to wrap our yarn again. We're going to go into the same exact stitch, and we're going to pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. So we've got 3 loops on our hook. We're going to wrap our yarn again. We're going to go down here into the same exact stitch again, and we're going to pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. We've got 4 loops on our hook, so we know we're done. We're going to grab our yarn, turn our hook down towards our project, and go ahead and pull through all 4 loops on our hook. So now we are going to begin the repeat. So for the repeat, we're going to begin with a chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to be doing another cluster, but we're going to cluster these 3 double crochets right here on this side, skip over the chain 3 single crochet, and cluster together these 3. All of these stitches are going to come together, and I'm going to show you how that's done. We're going to wrap our yarn around our hook. We're going to go here into this very first stitch, just like so, and we're going to pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. So we've got 2 loops on our hook. We're going to wrap our yarn again. We're going to move into this very next stitch. We're going to pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. So we've got 3 loops on our hook. We're going to wrap our yarn again. We're going to go here into this 3rd double crochet, and we are going to insert our hook right into the top of that stitch. We're going to grab our yarn and pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. So we've got 4 loops on our hook now. Now we're going to wrap our yarn again. We're going to come and we're going to skip over all of these chains right here, and we're going to move over here to where we have the 3 double crochets, and we are going to insert our hook into the very first one. We're going to pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. So now we have 5 loops on our hook. See right there? We're going to wrap again. We're going to insert our hook into the very next double crochet and pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2. Oops, let it slip off. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. So now we have 6 loops on our hook. We're going to wrap our yarn again. We're going to go here into this last double crochet. We're going to insert our hook. We're going to pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. We have 7 loops on our hook now. So now turn our hook down, and pull through all 7 loops. And I lost them all. And we're going to go ahead and try that one more time. We've got 7 loops on our hook. I've got my yarn wrapped. I'm going to pull through all 7 loops on my hook, just like so. And now I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now I'm going to move over here. I'm at my 7 double crochets, and I'm going to start my clusters again, my double crochet clusters. So I'm going to start my first one right here in this first double crochet. So I'm going to wrap my yarn around my hook. I'm going to insert into that very first stitch, pulling up a loop. I'm going to pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it. I've got 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to wrap my yarn again, go into that same exact stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it. I've got 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to wrap my yarn again. I'm going to insert into that same exact space, same exact chain, and pull up a loop, pull through 2. I've got 4 loops on my hook, so I know I'm finished. I'm going to grab my yarn, pull through all 4 loops. Now I'm going to chain 3, and I'm going to repeat that, skipping the very next stitch. In the row, I'm going to be skipping 1 and doing a cluster into the very next. Skip, cluster, skip, cluster. You'll be ending the row, or the section, I mean, with a cluster. So we're going to do that together. I'm going to wrap my yarn. I'm going to skip this very next stitch right here, and I'm going to move into the 3rd stitch, and I'm going to pull up a loop. I'm going to pull through 2. I'm going to hold it, 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to wrap my yarn again. I'm going to go into the same exact stitch, pulling up a loop, pull through 2. I'm going to hold it with 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to wrap my yarn again. I'm going to go into the same exact stitch. I'm going to pull up a loop. I'm going to pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it with 4 loops on my hook. I know I'm done, so I'm going to wrap my yarn and pull through all 4 loops. Now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to skip this very next stitch, the 4th stitch, and I'm going to move here into this very next one, which is the 5th. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap my yarn, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and hold it, 2 loops on the hook. Wrap my yarn again, insert into the same exact stitch, pulling up a loop, pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it with 3 loops on my hook. Wrap my yarn again, insert into the same exact stitch, pulling up a loop, pull through 2, and hold it. I have 4 loops on my hook, so I'm going to grab my yarn and pull through all 4 loops. Now I'm going to chain 3, and I'm going to skip the 6th double crochet in that row below, and I'm going to move here into the 7th. It's the very last one in this section. I'm going to wrap my yarn. I'm going to go directly into the top of that double crochet and pull up a loop. I'm going to pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it. I've got 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to wrap my yarn again. I'm going to go here into the same exact stitch, pulling up a loop. I'm going to pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it. I have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to wrap my yarn again, insert here into the same exact stitch, pulling up a loop. I'm going to pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it. I've got 4 loops on my hook, so I'm going to grab my yarn, turn down towards my project, and pull through all 4 loops on my hook. That ends your repeat for this row. So you're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's the beginning of your repeat, and we'll do it one more time together, and then you'll be pausing the video to work on down your row. So I've got a chain 5. I'm going to come here into these 3 double crochets, and I'm going to cluster those together and bridge this gap essentially over here to these 3 double crochets. So we're going to be doing one large cluster. So I've got my yarn wrapped around my hook like I'm going to do a double crochet. I'm going to come into this very first double crochet. I've skipped over this chain 3, and I'm going to go right here into the top of that double crochet, and I'm going to pull up a loop. I'm going to pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it. I'm going to wrap my yarn again, and I'm going to move here into the very next double crochet. I'm going to insert my hook. I'm going to pull up a loop. I'm going to pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it. That's going to be 3 loops on my hook now. I'm going to wrap my yarn again. I'm going to come here into this 3rd double crochet, and I'm going to insert my hook. I'm going to pull up a loop. I'm going to pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it. I've got 4 loops on my hook. I'm going to wrap my yarn again, and I'm going to skip over all these chains in the single crochet, and I'm going to come over here to these double crochets, and I'm going to go ahead. I've got my yarn already wrapped around my hook, so I'm going to go ahead and insert into that first double crochet and pull up a loop. I'm going to pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it. I've got 5 loops on my hook now. I'm going to wrap my yarn again. I'm going to insert here into this very next double crochet, go right into that stitch. I'm going to pull up a loop, I'm going to pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it. So now I've got 6 loops on my hook. I'm going to wrap my yarn again. I'm going to go here into this very last double crochet in this section, and I'm going to insert my hook right into the top of it, and I'm going to pull up a loop. Now I'm going to pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it. So I've got a total of 7 loops on my hook now. So I'm going to grab my yarn, and I'm going to pull through all 7 loops on my hook. And it looks just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to come over here to this section where we have our 7 double crochets, and I'm going to begin doing my double crochet clusters. I'm going to do my very first one right here into the first stitch. So I've skipped over this chain 3, and I'm coming right here into the top of this stitch. I'm going to insert my hook, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and hold it. I'm going to insert my hook again right there, wrap my yarn and insert, pulling up a loop, pull through 2, and hold it. I'm going to wrap my yarn again, insert into the same exact chain or same exact stitch, pulling up a loop, pull through 2, and hold it. I've got 4 loops on my hook, so I'm going to grab my yarn and pull through all 4 loops. I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to skip the very next stitch right here, and I'm going to move into the 3rd stitch, and I'm going to do another double crochet cluster. So let's go ahead and wrap my yarn, insert into this 3rd stitch, and I'm going to do another double crochet cluster just like we've been doing. I'm going to do that until I have 4 loops on my hook. I've got 3 right now, and here's my last one. So you're doing a total of 3 times in each one to form that cluster. I've got 4 loops on my hook. I'm going to wrap and pull through all 4 loops. Now I'm going to chain 3. I'm going to wrap my yarn again. I'm going to skip this very next stitch right here. And I'm going to move right here into this 5th stitch. And I'm going to insert and pull up a loop, pull through 2, and hold it. And I'm going to continue doing my double crochet cluster until I have 4 loops. I'm doing that 3 times into the top of the same exact stitch to get the 4 loops on my hook. I'm going to pull through all 4 loops. I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to skip the 6th stitch in this section and move here into the 7th, the very last one to end out. I'm going to go ahead and do my last double crochet cluster right here into the top of that stitch, just like so. Wrap again. You can really stretch this out and it will not hurt a thing. So I've got 4 loops on my hook. I'm going to pull through all 4 loops, and that is the end of that repeat. So we're going to lay this down and take a look, and then you're going to pause the video and you're going to come back and meet up with me when we have our last 4 stitches to work into. So you're going to go ahead and cluster together at the end here. We're going to be doing that cluster. You're going to cluster these stitches together, and then we're going to meet back up when you have 4 double crochets right here together, and that's where we're going to meet up. But this is what your work is looking like so far. So let's go ahead and lay that out. So that cluster that we're doing right here and bringing that together when we begin our repeat with the chain 5, that cluster looks like this, and then our double crochet clusters, they form these really pretty little fan-like things. So this is what your work should be looking like at this point. So you're going to go ahead and pause here, and you will go ahead and work out the rest of your row with the same repeat that I've done twice with you, and we will meet back up when you have your last 4 double crochets at the very end of your row. Alright, and we are back, and you are at the end of your row. You've got a chain 5 on your hook, and you are here at your last 4 stitches of the row. So we're going to go ahead and do those together. You're going to go ahead and do a double crochet cluster right here into the very first stitch, just like you've been doing on down your row. So you're going to go ahead and do a double crochet cluster right here in the very first double crochet here in this section. So we're going to go ahead and do that cluster. And now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to skip this very next stitch, and we're going to move into the 3rd stitch and do a double crochet cluster just like that. We're going to go ahead and do our double crochet cluster right here. We're going to work just like we have been, and do that cluster in the third double crochet from the previous row. Now we're going to pull through a loop. Instead of chaining 3 this time, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to come down here to this chain 3 that began this row, and we're going to count up 1, 2, 3 chains, and we're going to go ahead and insert our hook into the top of that third chain, and we're going to do a double crochet. So we're going to do 1 double crochet right here at the end of that row, just like that. And that ends the full pattern repeat. This is exactly how you do all throughout. I'm going to show you your new row 1 that replaces these foundation ovals that we began with, and you will be set to continue on. You're going to finish up your back panels, what you're working on, and then I will come back and show you how to do your front panels so that you can finish out the cardigan. So we're going to go ahead and chain 1, and this is our new row 1. So we're going to chain 1, and now we're going to go and work right here into the very top of the very first stitch, the top of that double crochet. We're going to do a single crochet right there into the top of that stitch. You can do a single crochet. And now we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and we're going to skip over this first cluster right here and go right here into this chain 3 space and do a single crochet. And now this is the beginning of your repeat for this row. We're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to come over here to where we clustered those 6 double crochets together, and if you pull your work apart, you can see that there is a perfect little space that we can put a stitch into right there. So we're going to work right here into that. So I'm going to go ahead and do a double crochet right into that stitch, or into that space. So I'm going to come in here, and I've got my yarn ready. I'm going to go ahead and do a double crochet. So I'm going to double crochet going right there into that space that I just showed you, and I'm going to do a double crochet just like that. Now I'm going to chain 5 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do a single crochet right here into that chain 3 space. So I'm skipping over that first cluster and going in between it on the chain 3. Now I'm going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and we're going to come over here to this next chain 3 space and do a single crochet. Now I'm going to chain 2 again, 1 and 2, and I'm going to come over here to this next chain 3 space and do a single crochet. So now I'm going to chain 5 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is the beginning of your repeat again. We're going to do it one more time together. Chain 5 is the beginning of the repeat. We're going to go ahead and wrap our yarn and do a double crochet, and if you look, we're going to go right here into that space that I pointed out. You're going to see that again. We're going to work right here into that space. So we're going to go ahead and wrap our yarn and insert our hook and do a double crochet right there into the top of that space, just like so. Now we're going to chain 5 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we're going to come over here. We're now at the clusters again. We're going to go ahead and skip this first cluster and go right here in the chain 3 space and do a single crochet. Now I'm going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and I'm going to skip over this cluster and move right here into the very next chain 3 space and do a single crochet. And now I'm going to chain 2 again. I'm going to skip over this very next cluster and go here into this chain 3 space and do a single crochet. And that is the end of your repeat. So you're going to continue on with your chain 5, double crochet, chain 5, and then single crochet, chain 2s until you finish out the rest of your row. And we will meet back up at the end when you have your last double crochet done in the chain 5 on your hook. We're going to do this last little section right here together. So go ahead and pause here and we'll meet back up at the end. And we are back, and you're at the end of your row, and we're going to go ahead and work the very end of your row together. So you've got your chain 5 on your hook, and you're going to skip over this next double crochet cluster and go right here into this chain 3 space, and we're going to do a single crochet. Now we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and we're going to go over here, and we're at our chain 4 that began this row. So we're going to count up from the bottom of this chain to the 3rd chain. So here's 1, 2, and right there is number 3. And that's where we're going to place, and right into that 3rd chain, we're going to place our single crochet. And that ends out that row. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you how you work row 2 to show you how you work in these chain spaces that we've created. So I'm going to do a chain 3, and you're going to go ahead and turn your work. And we're going to wrap our yarn, and we're going to do 2 double crochets right here into this chain 2 space that we just created. So we're going to do 2 more double crochets. So that first chain counts as a double crochet. So we've got a total of 3 double crochets right here at the beginning, just like we began with when we started down below. So now we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to come over here. We're at that double crochet that we did right there in the center of our cluster. So we're going to skip over this chain 5 right here. Stretch this out a little bit better. We're skipping over this. We're coming right here to that double crochet, and right beside it, we're going to insert our hook and do a single crochet. To do a single crochet right in the top of that double crochet. And we're going to do a single crochet right here in the top of, or right there, right beside that double crochet. So that chain 5 was the beginning of your repeat for this row. So we did a chain 5, and then we did a single crochet beside the double crochet, a single crochet in the top of the double crochet, and a single crochet right directly beside it. So now we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to come over here, and you're going to spread out your work so you can take a look. We're going to be skipping over the rest of this chain 5. We're going to skip over that single crochet, and we're going to do 2 double crochets right here into that chain 2 space that we created. So here's 1 double crochet. Here is 2 double crochets. And now we're going to do a double crochet right here into that single crochet. And now we're going to go ahead and do 2 more double crochets into this chain 2 space right here. 1 and 2. And now we're going to begin our repeat again. So the beginning of our repeat is going to be a chain 5. We're going to do this one last time together. So chain 5, there's 3, 4, and 5. And now we're going to come over here. We're at our double crochet again. So we're going to do a single crochet directly in front of it, just like so. We're going to do a single crochet into the top of the double crochet, and we're going to do a single crochet immediately after it. Now we're going to chain 5 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to come over here. We're now back at our clusters in the chain 2 spaces that we created. So we're going to skip this single crochet, and we're going to do 2 double crochets right there into that chain 2 space that we created. There's my first double crochet. Here is my second double crochet. And now I'm going to go ahead and do a double crochet right here into the single crochet, just like so. And now I'm going to do 2 double crochets into this chain 2 space that we created. Go ahead and do 2 double crochets, just like that. And that is the end of your repeat. So you're going to continue on. You're going to chain 5, do your 3 single crochets together right here, chain 5 again, and then do your double crochets. And then we will meet back up when you have the very end of your row with this 1 chain 2 space left to work in, and then we will finish this up. Pause right here and come back when you are ready to do the very last chain 2 space. Alright, and we are back, and you should have a chain 5 on your hook, and we're going to work into this very last chain 2 together. So we're going to go ahead and do 2 double crochets right there into that chain 2. There's my first one. I'm going to wrap, and I'm going to do my second. And then I'm going to go ahead and wrap, but I'm going to be doing my last double crochet right here into this single crochet at the very end of the row. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook, and I'm going to pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, last double crochet. Alright, so you're going to be continuing on until you've got your full back panel done, and then we're going to meet back up for part 2 so that we can do the front panels together. I'll show you how the construction goes on those, and then there will be a last but not least part 3 where I'm going to show you some border options for this. And as always, please check the description down below for all the information on how you can substitute, what you can substitute. This one is pretty specific for doing the kimono cardigan in the smaller size yarns. So I'm going to be providing all the information for the size yarn 1 and 2 down below in the description, and you're going to have your rewind spots that you can go back to, so you're just going to rewind and go ahead and finish out. I do recommend a total of 10 repeats, and this right here is a repeat to me. This section right here, one of these is a repeat. So I recommend that you're going to have 10 of these basically looking like a flower. To me, this one looks like a flower when it's turned in this direction. We're going to have a total of 10 repeats, so it is 50 rows essentially, because there's 5 rows to do one of these. So you're going to continue on, and we'll meet back up at part 2 so that we can. And there's going to be 5 total repeats for the children's sizes, so 10 for the adults, 5 of these for the children's sizes, and we can adjust based on your preference. You can adjust from there and do more or less rows.